Hello friends, Namaste. Take a nice deep breath. That's always a good thing to do, right? So this session I will talk a little bit about heaven and hell. And for many people maybe they think about a place somewhere in the future or in space and time, somewhere a place where there is really pure suffering or pure bliss. I will talk a little bit more about it, how hell is basically can also be here and now, and it's not about some place in the future or some place somewhere. It's about how you experience this reality, because for some people hell is life right here, right now, how they experience life. It's pure suffering and deep depression, feeling a lot of fear, feeling a lot of maybe hate, a lot of anger, all these things. And then this life experience can be hell. And for other people, they see this world and they experience it, and they have a very beautiful experience with it, and they experience basically joy, love, unity in every aspect of life. And then all of a sudden this place here and now becomes heaven, right? I will talk a bit more about it, and feel free to ask some questions if you have them. Just put them in the chat and I see if we still have some time, if I can answer them as well. Now, many people for a long time have been thinking that hell or heaven is a place somewhere, in some place and time. But it is good to understand how you experience life determines whether you have a beautiful experience of life or a very negative experience of life. So basically trying to create heaven in this life here and now, instead of thinking that, well, if I do something good now, then I will go to heaven. Or if somebody does something bad, or then after life he or she goes to hell. And as I explained already in another video, this life is a continuum. The energy that you have now, and with energy I mean the state of mind, the state of emotion. If there's a lot of tension, if there's a lot of negativity, if there's a lot of, let's say, darkness in your mind and in your heart, this is exactly the direction you will go to in life. This state of mind, the state of emotion, will determine the choices that you make. It will determine the people you attract in your life, the situations you attract in your life. Whereas if you are having an uplifted, open, light, loving state, this will also determine the people that you attract in your life, the choices that you make. So this goes within this life, but it's not that when this body stops, that your spirit stops. It continues into a different form. This reality as we experience here, this space and time, it's just a tiny layer of all the layers of reality, infinite layers of reality that are there. There's an infinite, let's say, depth of creation. We experience with this body just this moment in space and time, but there is eternity. So it's not like there is a beginning of the cosmos and there is an end, and then there is a straight line of time, how life is evolving, how life is experienced. But there is an infinite, there is no beginning, there is no end, there is infinity. And there is an infinite creation of possibilities that is happening right here, right now. So it's good to understand that you continue into a new life form and start to accumulate again a body, a situation in your life, and choose in a way a state of life in the next phase of your life. And this will be greatly determined by your state of mind and your state of emotion. So if there's a really down, dark state, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of anger, a lot of hate, all these things, how you will continue in the next form of life, right, will be one that is in line with that state of being. So it might be a bit of a darker life experience that you will experience. And like that, like I mentioned, there's an infinite layer of these realities, right? So you will, in a way, by the choices that you make, by the way that you live, it will determine your state of mind, your state of emotional system, and that will determine how you continue in this life, how you will create your life, but also after life, what you will create, and basically what form and shape your reality will have in there. Now, for many people, this might go a little bit too deep, and then I'll just keep it within this life. But I hope you understand that how you experience life can be for some people hell and for some people heaven, right in this life experience, right? So therefore it is crucial to, if you want to, let's say, come out of the hell that you experience now, if you suffer from deep depression or a lot of fear or a lot of anger, all these negative aspects of life, that you start to cultivate a more beautiful mind, a more beautiful heart, that you start to every day work a little bit to clean up the heart, to, let's say, bring a little bit more light into your being, to bring a bit more acceptance, kindness, friendliness, gratitude, all these things that will start to work as a light and brighten up your life a bit more. So that if you start doing that now, every day, in a couple of years from now, or maybe a couple of weeks, let's keep it short, already you will have brightened up a little bit your life. You will already start to perceive life a little bit, start to focus less on the negative and more on the positive. And imagine if you keep doing that for some years, you will start to have different relationships with people. You start to be in a different life situation. And like that, you can cultivate and give shape to your own life a little bit more and go more towards direction of let's say, heaven, of having a life experience, a life state of bliss, of joy, of love, instead of having an experience of going deeper into this dark negative state, right? So let's see if there are some questions. I see it from one person, from Simple Jim. Hi, Jim. If you have a moment, I am wondering about your thoughts on cold exposure for good health. Would you recommend? Well, that's a good question, Jim. The good thing is with cold exposure, you have nowadays, it's very popular, and it's, I think, a very powerful, beautiful thing that you go into an ice bath, or if you live in a cold country, you go into an ice lake. And then for a moment you experience a lot of well, pain. For some people it can be a little bit momentarily an experience of hell, because they go through so much pain and so much fear comes up and all these things. So you learn to work with the pain, the fear, the, let's say, the will to push away reality as it is, that you start to embrace it. Be like, okay, I feel it, but I accept it. And this works really, really, really deep. Also, when you just sit for half an hour, you sit still and you start to feel all this agitation, like, but I want to move, I want to do something, I want to get out of this moment. If you can open up to that, like in the cold exposure, and just feel like, okay, I'm feeling now that resistance within me. I start to accept it. And like that, you start to very much become more master of your own mind, of your own desires and all these things, which is very powerful. But also you start to clean out a lot of, let's say, impurities from the mind and the emotional system. Because when resistance come up to certain emotions, it's like you start to and you can accept it, you start to burn off karma. You start to feel the pain, but don't react to the pain. You start to feel the resistance and be like, ah, that's what I feel now. And like that, you start to burn out the impurities from your mind and your emotional system. So that also, and this is very important, that you can take this in daily life. That you start to feel in daily life, sometimes, I feel a little bit of agitation, or I feel restlessness, or I feel very much resistance towards the present moment. Instead of trying to leave it or change it, I start to take a moment to what am I actually feeling now? Okay. And like that, it can go out of your system and you start to burn these impurities out of your mind and heart, right? So Jim, I hope that answered your question. So basically, try to create, hopefully here in this world, in this moment in your life, try to create a bit more a heaven, right? By being good to others. Not because maybe in the future or after this life, then you will receive a beautiful gift or this or that. No, but that you start to feel like, hey, it feels good to help others. It feels good to be present. It feels good to do good, basically, right? And also becoming more aware that if you do something maybe not so good to others, that it has an impact on your emotional system, on your mind. Maybe you feel a little bit less good about yourself. Maybe you feel a little bit guilty, a bit shameful or something like that. And start to realize like, hey, doing good makes you feel good. Doing not so good makes you feel bad. It's a logic consequence. So you start to not only know this by mind or that you read it somewhere in a book what the rules of life are, but that you start to feel it really and start to live in line with this. And the more you start to live in line with what really feels good, the more beautiful life will become, the more towards heaven this life will go. And like I mentioned before, on a deeper level, you will start to more and more create good circumstances in this present life, but also in the continuum of this life. After this body has passed, you will accumulate again situations, a body, relationships in that life which are in line with that state of mind and heart. And the further you go into that, the more, let's say, transcended, the more higher up you go towards a liberated mind, a liberated soul, so to say, right? In which you experience pure bliss and freedom, because that's the essence of our being. Okay. Wonderful. All right, friends, we're gonna take just a little moment because this is very important to do, like 5 or 10 minutes, to just take a moment to sit and feel, basically, and breathe a little bit, right? So take a moment to just sit in any comfortable position. Take a couple of calm, deep breaths. For a moment, just become aware. What's your state of life experience actually now? Maybe you feel very relaxed and happy. Or maybe you feel a bit restless. You want to look something else up on the internet or something. You feel that restlessness, you want to change. Also just learn to feel that, experience that. Maybe you feel a bit of sadness that is in your system. Or just very, very happy, also good. But just become aware, what is your experience of this life in this present moment? Not trying to change anything. What is the experience of life? And take a moment with some calm, slow breaths. To really generate a state of acceptance. Not trying to change the way you feel, but completely accepting, like, this is how I experience life in this moment. Maybe it's more towards heaven, maybe it's a bit more towards hell. It's okay. That's where I am at that moment. But I accept it. And like that for just a couple more very slow breaths. Start to connect your breathing with your state of mind and your state of emotion. That you very slowly breathe in, like you make a little mini smile of it's okay, it's okay. And you breathe out and you let go. No need to resist, no need to change anything, no need to fight with anything. Just creating acceptance, kindness, which in essence is love. Just for a couple more slow breaths, start to recognize that, like in the center of all the turbulence, there is this kindness within, this acceptance within, this love within, this light within. Start to connect with it more. You start to breathe towards the source, towards the center, the light of life. With that kindness, it's all good. It's all good. Now for a couple of breaths to kind of set your intention. You say to yourself, okay, in the coming time, may I start to make my choices in line with that feeling. May I make kind choices in my life towards myself and others, that I start to live life more in line with that feeling of good vibes, that feeling of kindness, that feeling of acceptance and patience towards myself and others. Also feeling like, okay, may I forgive my own past mistakes that I made. I've learned from them. I felt maybe the guilt, I felt the shame. Okay, means that I will now have learned from it. I accept it. I accept my past, I accept my future. I generate some kindness, some friendliness, some love. And may my life go into that direction of good vibes. Feel free to rub the hands a bit, place them over the eyes, and give yourself a little mini massage, like some kindness towards yourself. Kindness. Good. Hopefully, you start to really take responsibility for your state of mind, your state of heart. Stop blaming others for the state that you are in now, and understand that everything that has come through my life is in a way, let's say, a consequence of my past. How I've experienced it is a consequence of my past. It's my responsibility now to really make the best of this. I've been giving some things, I can start to use my past experience to become more wise, more patient, more kind, so that I can develop this spirit that I have and start to create a more beautiful life, a more beautiful future, a life of light, a life of love, a light of kindness, right? And start to shine a bit more into this world and share this with others as well. Friends, I wish you lots of peace, lots of love, lots of wisdom. Namaste.